Sorry, my clips are cutting out, and they have done so a couple of times. The swamp is getting really stinky because we need another rain to sort of make water move. And as I addressed in the previous clip, there are a lot of pollinators out, which is great. At any rate, I've been thinking of my students in South Korea a lot lately. Awesome honeysuckle to break up the bad smells here. I've been thinking of my Korean students a lot, and this situation with my distant cousin brings that to my attention again. Teaching is a very difficult job because of the number of people that you are not only responsible for, but you are one of the few people that can be interested in their enhancement in ways that are not measurable and that you won't really see the consequences of until much later. I'm sort of subscribing to the thoughts of James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy series, that really you can't have one adult responsible for a child around the clock, but the ratio should be that there is one adult allocated to each child at any given time. And as kids make up maybe 16 to 20% of the population, that's probably doable, but would require a major reallocation of how money is spent and allocated and all that. But we are all sacred, sovereign forces of nature, entities. I don't know what the word would be exactly. And for this cousin to be reprimanded all the time for not conforming to the standards, I can understand. As a teacher, your ideal is to get everyone to the middle. The kids who succeed and get through the material very quickly are annoying unless they can be used to advance the other children, but then they're not really getting a fair education either. They're held back. And then the students who are smart but can't conform usually become troublemakers. The ones who can't really keep up with the curriculum rebel so that they can find self-esteem in something else, the antithesis of whatever is being instructed. In my experience, every child can be worked with and can succeed, actually, if the teacher is energetic enough and resourced enough to pull it off. Wow. Talk about a noble creature, too. There are a lot of bunnies and I don't really know their language, but anyway, I think of a student I had in a very advanced class of 6-year-olds in Korea whose English name was Susie. And she was bigger in stature than the other kids, and she was teased a lot. She seemed like she was slow, but she really wasn't. And she had developed something kind of like an eating disorder, in my opinion, because she would overeat and then throw up in class sometimes. And at that time I kind of knew what to do. I what I did is I would go and whisper stuff in her ear because the students liked me in that class anyway. Okay, this is kind of a difficult spot, as you may recall. Talk about stagnant water. The students liked me, and so I would pretend to whisper something in her ear and then make her laugh, and then so she would be considered an insider. And then when she vomited one time, I insisted on cleaning it up and stuff, and then wouldn't let anybody laugh. And it turned out she really started to accelerate. You just have to accommodate each person's language and let them know that you're not into the whole hierarchy game and so forth. And then eventually she moved mainstream into the class. And then another boy in that class, he and his brother had learning problems too. They had very strong verbal faculties, even though it was very nonsensical. But they could not focus academically at all. And so eventually none of the other teachers could deal with the older brother at all. And I was severely challenged too. But the mother requested to have a class, and so I had a little bit of free time, and I said, we'll just create an individual class for him. And it was complete chaos, really. But I tried to structure this older boy's thoughts and to help him put them to paper and then translate. And when I mean translate, I don't mean from Korean to English, but to synthesize what he was trying to say into a chronological format. We had mixed success. I would say that it did get somewhere. We didn't continue the class that long for reasons unknown to me, but everybody seemed satisfied that it lasted as long as it did. I think of these kids and their individual plight a lot. Even the worst bullies, basically, there's a tarot card that really illustrates what they are and what they're doing and why. I believe it's the Nine of Cups. And that shows kind of a portly man with all these cups right side up. And that basically means using your talents for perverse ends. And so usually these kids are high energy individuals with nowhere to direct that energy, no frame of reference to structure their knowledge for good. Or another example, a lot of the subscriber base I have for Mother Earth News is male prisoners. And very often they are trying to learn skills for self-sufficiency before they get out of prison. And I'm always nice to them. Usually it's their mom or wife, usually the mom, who are subscribing for them. I make sure that they are well taken care of, because often their parents, this is like, I just got done saying that, more or less everyone is equally intelligent and just different allocation. But typically, I find that criminals or people who do time are born to parents that are not nearly as intelligent as they are. And so if you have really intelligent kids born into a setting that's incompetent or uneducated, vice will come. Vice will usually come. There may be a benefactor that takes some interest in the child, but typically the parents not having the social skills or the economic position to liaise with these benefactors puts them in a very precarious situation. And I think that's one of the biggest scandals of our time, is not finding a way around this. That's why, in one sense, social service is really important as a part of our economy. But the way it's functioning in most countries now is that it's inadequate and actually does worse damage than maybe nothing at all in some ways, further supporting the argument that there's no evidence that social work does anything for society. Very heavy thoughts for a Saturday morning. But I think the lesson there is to always try to consider the background that someone has lived through and why they seem to make really illogical choices. When I look at my own life, it makes sense in some ways, but then there are many ways that I've fallen short too. And the long and the short of it is, we shouldn't try to enforce too much negative dogma on kids. And we should also try, this will never happen in our lifetimes, I'm afraid, but we should try to, at least in our own private individual reality, consider past life references, such as my cousin. Because for a 5-year-old to say that she's writing in Chinese and to want to go to Chinatown and all that is just a little bit too profound to be ignored, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching and enjoy your weekend. Bye.